Yo, 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 yo. What is up, guys? So this is my very first podcast, and I guess I just wanted to get it started and kind of explain why I'm doing this. I had a really good thought that these would be really helpful. It's kind of what I try to do in my vlogs. Like if you've watched my YouTube, I have like an intro and outro explaining how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, and I try to give some advice and tips on training and what works best for me and how to learn about yourself. So that's what this whole podcast will be. It's a whole dunk life podcast. I didn't even introduce that, but this is about dunking. You can find my YouTube channel, my Instagram, my website, all these different things, but I figured why not add a podcast? It'll be a great way for me to talk about some topics, get my point across, not feel rushed or hindered by having the video edit, anything like that. And I could just talk and we can go over all the different topics like stretching and health and mentality, training, jump technique, footwork, different types of dunks, all different things that I just think are really great topics that I can talk about. And I could talk to other dunkers. So this podcast, I'm not really sure how far I'll go with it, but I just wanted to kind of explain that I'm getting started with this and what to look forward to and just see what you guys think. And I'm just going to keep it going and stick with me because these first one, especially this one, probably going to be super rough, but they'll get better as time goes on. No idea what I'm doing, but I just figured get talking and don't worry about it and just figure it out later as we go. So I guess the first thing I want to talk about to start off this whole podcast would probably be the mentality and the training and just some very basic things that I like to do. And one huge factor, I think, is to learn about your body. And that's really hard to do. And it takes time, but it's really important that you start to learn how your body adapts and reacts to the training you're giving to it. And you also really need to push yourself and stimulate your body in the right way so that it reacts, so that way you can increase your vertical and jump higher. Vertical jumping is a very strange thing if you think about it, because you can jump and it's one of those things that you just have to jump higher, and it seems like there's some certain exercise or something like to jump higher, but you have to think about it just like every other thing. Like if you're trying to bench heavier or lift a certain exercise heavier, other exercises will help you supplement that, but you need to do that exercise harder and push yourself harder to make that increase. And so another thing is just really push yourself. Don't overtrain yourself. That's what I mean by learn about yourself. But like on a fresh day, or if you're jumping great, or even if you're jumping bad but you have good energy, you rested for a couple days, you need to push yourself. And even if you're fresh and you're just having a bad day, you still need to push yourself to jump a lot, because you don't want to have just a few max jumps. You want your jumping days to go on for hours. That's why you see a lot of the great guys, they have long sessions. Even myself, I used to have long sessions for like 2-3 hours, and now I'm building up to that. Like on my very best day, I can jump for a while, and that's really helpful, because you don't want to just peak out and then die. You want to keep jumping, and you want to have more max jumps. And the way you do that is that even when you're dying, even if you're like, for me, this is another reason why I like this podcast, because I can give some examples and just keep going. No one's here to cut me off. I don't have to edit it and just keep it up going. So for me, as an example of this, when I was learning to windmill, I was jumping, and say I was jumping on a low rim, 9-10 practicing, right? And I was like dunking really well. Like I got my one-handers down pat, really banging them, and I would try a windmill. And at my highest, I felt like I could get it. Like I would back rim it, and I was really close, right? And then I would back rim a few, like maybe 4 or 5, and I couldn't get it. But then my jump started to die, so I could really feel that my vertical's low. Even on my hardest jump, I would throw like a one-handed lob just to get myself going again, and it just would not be as high as it was anymore. I could not get my max jump, could not get my highest vertical. Say it was like 40 inches, I could not hit 40 anymore. And I would try to cut it short and just wait till the next day or the next dunk session to go. But that's something I learned is not as beneficial as it could be, because I'm limiting my max jumps. I'm not pushing myself to give myself more max jumps. So if I were to cut that session short there, then the next time I go out, I'm only going to have 4 or 5 max jumps again. What I should have done, which is what I started doing, is just throw some lobs that I know I can get or I would be able to get and just push myself my hardest to hit those dunks and jump hard. So that way I'm sort of building my jump endurance to have more max jumps, and then as sessions go on and weeks go by, I'll have more and more max jumps, so that way when I'm practicing tricks, I don't die out in a 5 jumps. I'll have a lot more to work with. And that definitely came true when I hit my East Bay. I think it was my first one, even though it was a low rim. It was at the end of the session, and I felt tired, but I was still jumping somewhat high. Not my very highest, but I still was jumping high. So that's one great thing about it, is that you could surprise yourself and you could go for a while and you could practice a lot. So just keep that in mind, is that you want to push yourself to that thing, to jump more. You want more and more max jumps. Now, one thing to be careful of, which I'm very much a victim of, is overtraining. But most of the time, just to get it out there, you're probably not overtraining if you're just having a bad day. The way you're overtraining is when you go hard, then you go harder, then you have a decent day, then you push yourself even harder, and then even though you push yourself because you say we're having a bad day, you push yourself to the maximum, and then you still didn't do well, and then you try it again maybe the next day or next 2 days, and you push yourself again, and you just have like 2 or 3 days in a row, maybe not in a row, but like sessions back to back, like every other day. If you have like a third session and you're pushing yourself your hardest, you're not just feeling tired, you're trying hard, and you maybe even feel energetic because you rested your legs, they're not sore, and you're just slowly declining, you may be overtraining. But it's easy to overtrain, but at the same time, if you take the proper rest, there's no way you can be overtrained. So if you're feeling sluggish one day, say you have a bad day, this is another thing I would really frustrate me when I was learning how to dunk, is that I would have a really bad jumping day, which happens, but I didn't know it at the time. I thought I was just like fatigued. So say it was a Saturday and I had a bad jumping day, I would rest 2 full days and come out Tuesday. And where was I going with this? Was I going to say I overtrained or I didn't? See, this is why this podcast is super rough. So one thing, you don't want to postpone working because you think you're overtrained. You always want to, well, for me, I think it's good to push yourself and keep trying until you're definitely sure you're overtrained. So for me, it's like I would come out someday, say a Saturday, and I would push myself and I would just feel fatigued. I'm like, man, I think I'm overtrained. I need to rest. So I would just rest up and go in a couple days, and then I would have another bad day. And I would just keep postponing this bad day when all I really needed to do was push harder and jump more or lift or just work on something else. I was just trying to wait for a good day, and that's just something that's really hindering and really postpones your progress. So most of the time I say go harder than you think you could, because I've had more days that I think I'm going to do bad and I feel fatigue and I push myself harder than I even had the energy to, and I break through and have a good work day, and then I rest up and feel great and stretch and stuff like that and have a good day the next time or something like that. So if you have a bad day, don't just say, oh, I'm overtrained, I'll wait a week and do it, because then you might be even more down on yourself when a week of rest comes and you have another bad day. You may just need to be going harder, and that's really hard to figure out. But if you could really try to take note of your body, take detailed notes of yourself, how you're feeling. That's why I do the vlog. It's really good insight to know how you're feeling going into it, so that way you could look back and say, hey, I wasn't feeling it this day, but I jumped really well and I had a great work day, or I was feeling great and then I had a bad day. Like, you can learn about your eating habits, your sleep habits, all these. There's a lot of factors. That's why it's Dunk Life, because there's a million factors that can go into jumping, like your sleep, your nutrition, your stretching, your muscle recovery, what you just did yesterday, what you did 2 days ago, and it might not even be dunk related that affects you. For example, if you go to the beach, I live in Florida, so like a beach day could be a thing. If I went crazy at the beach and I didn't realize it, I'm like, I didn't dunk, I didn't work out yesterday, but I went to the beach, that sun could really affect you and really drain you of your energy. So just take note of everything you do and learn about your body. Take notes, take videos, start your own vlog. It's really very helpful, and you learn a lot about yourself. And just consciously be aware of how you're feeling, how your muscles feel, and keep track of what you do. You can't beat that. You can't get around that. I would try to go by how I feel, but a long time ago, and I started to learn, but documenting really helps, and especially if you map it out and you learn what works. That's why I don't really do a program, because I've learned what works for me. I've really liked the translation day, as I call it. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's something I made up, but I really believe in it, and it feels great when I do it almost every time I do it. And what it is I lift heavy on say the Monday. I'll start with the week. The first day of the week, I'm fresh. I lift heavy, and I didn't like to lift heavy in the past because I had problems with flexibility when I squatted heavy because I didn't know to stretch my legs. So that made me super sluggish and sore in my legs, and it just made my legs super tight, and I did not like that feeling. Jumping always made me feel good. But I need the strength training to increase my performance window and allow me to jump higher and increase and break plateaus and things like that. So anyway, I would lift heavy now on a Monday, say squats and deadlifts, all the big exercises for legs and vertical jump and hamstrings, some back and shoulders. And then I only rest one day. I don't like to rest more than a day. And say on Wednesday, I go jumping. And yes, I'm sore and tired and my legs are just really sore, but I warm up and I get some really good jumps. And a lot of times I jump better than I thought I would, just because my legs feel dead, but they still can perform. And I don't jump a ton this day. I don't focus on my new tricks. I just focus on jumping my max. And I feel like by jumping, I'm telling my muscles that are sore to recover in an explosive manner. That way, the strength that I built gets translated into explosive jumping. So I hope that makes sense. But that's just something I've done over months, maybe even years, that has really felt like it's beneficial, and I've had great success with it. So I do that, and then I'll rest up and have a full jump day after I've recovered from the translation day. My legs are no longer sore. I feel like my muscles are now prepped, and I feel great. Now, right now, as I'm doing this little Cali countdown and going to California, I've had like a little 3-week program, and the past 2 weeks, I've done lifting Monday, translation day Wednesday, and jump dunk day Friday. And both weeks I've noticed that my Friday days I feel kind of sluggish. And today is actually Saturday, and I had a decent day yesterday, Friday, so I'm going to see how I'm jumping today. But the point is, I might need 2 days after translation day, but I'm learning that because I'm doing the exact same schedule twice in a row. And I've done it in the past, but a lot of times I'm just too excited on Friday, and I haven't dunked in 2 days, and it's I feel good, so I go. But if my lift day was super heavy and my translation day went a little long, I might need 2 days of rest instead of just the one. But that's where you kind of play with your variables and feel how you're doing. But I have had some really good sessions on Friday, and I think those are the days that I really got good sleep and good nutrition. But if I don't sleep well after the lift day or Tuesday or Wednesday or a couple days in a row, then I might need to wait till Saturday just to get some extra rest. But it all depends. There's a lot of factors. But anyway, I think that's it for this podcast. Kind of cutting it short out of nowhere, almost at 15 minutes. I'm at 14. Super random, but I hope this helped. It just was something while I'm waiting for my friends to get here to dunk. We're about to have a dunk session here at this cool court. So I'll be posting this soon. I don't know when this podcast will be out. It might be super late, but I'm looking forward to doing a lot more of these. I've said this stuff that I've said right now a lot, so it's good to get it out there. It's good that you can see it at any time. It's just, there's so many good factors about this podcast I feel like that are really helpful, and just so much more content. I can probably do it super frequently whenever I have a thought, so that's really helpful to me. I don't have to edit it. I don't have to worry about the camera or anything like that, and I could go off on a topic, give examples just like I'm doing, and I feel like it's so helpful to give insight on what it is to live the dunk life. Good ending. Awesome. All right, guys. I'll see you soon. Let's get it. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. I also, by the way, before I was going to sleep last night, I was watching Instagram, and I see just like people going hard, these crazy dunkers that are already like college athletes that just are just dunking for fun, and it's so cool to see people push themselves. That's what gets me the most hype. Like, you don't have to kill a crazy dunk that I can't even do, but just when I see someone go really hard and like make progress that I've never seen them do, it's crazy feeling, because it shows me that this person that I've seen at a place is making progress, and I'm like, man, I could keep making progress too. And it's really helpful to see other people make progress. It doesn't have to be at a higher level than me. Even people at a lower level that I just see go hard are inspiring to me, just because I'm like, wow, they made progress. Like, I've seen them do this for a while, but they made progress, or they're making fast progress. But of course, the elites are crazy too. All my friends that are a little better than me, a lot better than me, they're still making progress. That's really inspiring, because I've made so much, almost more than I thought I could. I'm like at the level right now where I thought I could get to, but if I can get to the next level, which is more of a dream state for me, that's crazy, and that's what's inspiring. I've seen people be at where I started, get to where I'm at now, and then get to that elite level. That's really inspiring, and that's where I'm trying to get, and I'm close. All right, guys, dunk life. Let's go.